Hello, hello, you chat bastards. Welcome to Legend Seeker Legend Lore, our Q&A session that we do, in theory, every other week on Wednesdays. I know that hasn't happened the last 2 times for various reasons, but we're back, and we're here to answer all your pressing questions, give you updates on where everything is going. And I know it's a black screen, Chrysanth, okay? I transitioned I gotta finish that sentence. I transitioned the slide, the show, the thing. So we are here, and there was Frost mug. Look at that mug. Won't find a mug like that anywhere else.
I was judging you for not finishing that sentence quickly enough.
That was a bad place to stumble. That was a really, really bad place to stumble. But yes, we are here, and we're going to answer all your pressing questions about Legend Seeker. If this is your first time here, sorry about that intro, but what we're doing here is we're making a tabletop role-playing game, and it's called Legend Seeker. And it is a system that's going to kind of harken back to the gaming days of yore, while still getting a fresh coat of paint on it to make it a little bit more modern and a little bit more snappy. And we're also, with the system, going to be putting out both a bestiary and an entire setting guide with full lore and everything baked in. So on day 1, when the system comes out, you will be able to play in a setting that feels lived in, breathed in, and rich and real. And have monsters and everything ready to go. That is our goal, and that's what we're working on. So, oh my God, chat, what is wrong with you? I am the author of the system itself. I am Erudi. Welcome. Some of you know me from Moonskull. If you don't know me, hey, we're here. And this wizardly looking fellow over here might be a real wizard. I hear he's also a vampire. Either way, he's been around forever. It's Frost. He's my co-author. He is doing the Erudia setting guide. How's it going, man?
It is going well. Crazy day today. This will be entertaining. Kind of a nice little wind down from madness, because everyone here is calm, collected. They don't make weird puns, weird jokes, and nobody pauses at really enough times in their intros.
No, not ever. Not ever. And I even got some eggnog. So if you like eggnog, take a look at that. I even got a little cinnamon stick in it for flavor. Yeah, I went real fancy.
I was wondering what the tops that was. Did you put? Was there cinnamon and stuff? I'm like, okay, all right. There's a film of other colors there. Okay.
Yeah, I sprinkled some ground cinnamon on there, and just to make sure that if that wasn't enough, I got a cinnamon stick in there to keep it putting out that flavor.
No nutmeg.
No nutmeg. I don't have any nutmeg. I only have so many ingredients at my personal disposal, as it turns out. I'm surprised I even had cinnamon, to be honest with you. But yeah, so that's what we're here to do. We're gonna answer questions. We're gonna do things, and sometimes we have a theme, sometimes we don't. Today we do have a little bit of a theme. We're gonna be talking about multiclassing. It is something that's been big on my mind, and I've gotten lots of questions about it in the past month and a half, anyways. So I figure, why not? Why don't we touch on that? I think that'd be a great thing to talk about, and we've been talking about that behind the scenes. Me, Frost, and Moss, and how we wanted to tackle the mechanics, as well as what some might perceive as some of the common pitfalls of multiclassing in other systems. And I think we've got some pretty good solutions, pretty cool ideas.
I think so too.
You know what, Chrysanth? If I wanted nutmeg, I could have nutmeg, okay? I just don't want the nutmeg, so I don't have it. That's the truth. Yeah. My story, I'm sticking to it. But the primary purpose of this is to answer your guys' questions. So if you have any, please drop them in the chat. I didn't see any come through on Patreon. Let me just double check to make sure I didn't miss any in the last 20 minutes or so. The Patreon, where are you? All right, yeah, I did not get any on Patreon as of yet, but you're welcome to post them here. You can siphon them through Chrysanthemum. You can put them in the Discord server, wherever you think it would be appropriate, and we will answer those questions for you. I think we've already started out with some. I don't remember where they went. I swear I just saw them somewhere. All right, I'll find them. But
were they about multiclassing, or were they just general
I thought I saw the Nugget post a few of them somewhere in some chat. I'll locate them in a second, but I do know, I guess to start off, well, actually, real quick, small pitch to you guys. We're working very hard on this, and we've gotten very far. In fact, as far as the system goes, the vast majority of the text is done. It's at this point filling in the finer details. For example, the chapter on spells and how we want spells to work. That is written. It's going through and now making the individual spells and fine tuning them. Same for classes, races, and things like that. So the majority of the text is there. Now it's just kind of like putting stuff together and getting it ready for the playtest phase. At least for my book. As far as Frost goes, actually, I haven't really asked Frost for a full update as of late, but I know that he's been working very hard on the lore, expanding various parts of it, and has even gotten into some map making recently.
Don't let him fool you. It's mostly a 2-hour nap for me. I'm on coasting through the streams. No, I've got a lot of stuff in there. I just need to now start unifying it so it's the same kind of information, because some of the entries have gotten more florid than others.
Not as quite as yeah, that makes sense. So kind of making sure you're capturing the same information in those sections so people know what to expect as they're going through that. Makes sense.
Exactly. So some of the areas don't feel anemic compared to others. Like, this is my favorite child, and that's Timmy.
Yeah, there's a point where you have too little. There's a point where you have too much, and kind of finding that happy medium and giving a unified voice. And something I know that I'm a big fan of Savage Worlds, as you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
But one common complaint that I have, as well as my players, is navigating the damn books. Not always the best, well thought out books in terms of trying to find the information you need. There's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, even once you've had the material written, now you got to make sure, because it's not just a novel, right? It's a functional rule book and guide. It needs to be something you can navigate in and go through with ease. So it's not always just, did you write the material? Then it becomes form, function, and art all in kind of one. So yeah, a lot going on there, but Frost is an expert at the craft. I'm working to try to be an expert at the craft, and we're taking inspiration from the greatest systems we know. I will say, I've just recently purchased good old 3.5 book. This is actually probably, if you look at the size of this book, this is about the size of what the Seeker's Tome is going to be. So, pretty thick book. I anticipate this is roughly what you can expect size wise in terms of content for the core book. So, that gives you any idea of the amount of material we're talking about here. It's a lot, but we're gonna make it good. We're gonna make it good for you guys, and I'm really excited. Now, Frost, I know you said, oh, go ahead.
I don't remember that book being that thick, because I'm used to the original. I had the basic and then the old pamphlet-y paper ones, and then I had the first edition books, which are much smaller. For K9 Player's Handbook, the DM's Guide was thicker. I don't remember that thing for 3.5 being that thick before. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's pretty big. I think your filter or something's cutting off your words a bit. By the way, I'm not sure.
Let me check.
But yeah, it's a pretty big. Honestly, technically, this book that I'm holding right now is about 320 pages or so. I've got a full about 110 pages on that, so it might even be bigger than that book. But also the way we organize it's a little bit different too. So doing the dual columns and things like that could still end up being about the same. But yeah, It should be pretty big.
You'll have to let me know if my sound is better. I turned off the compressor and all that stuff.
Yeah, now you're coming through perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Great.
Santa's so mean to me. So mean. Wow. If you could just read the DM's chat, if you knew the daily roasting I got, not even daily, hourly roasting I got at the hands of this gypsy woman. But what I was going to say is what the writing's going very well, and I'm very happy with the progress on that. Of the 3 books, the one that is the furthest behind is probably the Bestiary right now. And mostly that's because it's going to be a lot of stats, and I haven't written up the stats yet, but most of the text is done. So that's kind of where we're at in that. And then Moss hasn't really begun in earnest on writing his yet. He's still kind of, there's a lot of information that Frost and I have already written. So he is getting his feet wet with that, trying to read all of that. And he's also currently trying to set up the Masks campaign at the same time. So he's got a lot on his plate as well. But he'll be writing in earnest. He's already shown me some of his ideas in some of the sample stuff he wants to do, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he does with this starter adventure. I think it's going to be really good. But Frost, oh no, I keep skipping my pitch. So I did want to say the writing's going well. One place that's not going as well. So I try to be very transparent on how our process is going and what I think is on schedule, what I think is not. One thing that is certainly not is the artwork. Artwork is a challenge because I want it to be quality, right? I don't want to put crappy artwork in this book for you guys. I want you to have good visual references that are worthy of the money you're spending, and really capture your imagination and introduce you to the world of Erudia and really bring you into the universe that is Legend Seeker. But good art takes time. It also costs money. And unfortunately, it's not one of those things that even if you do throw money at it, it doesn't necessarily always make it go faster. Because, for example, I've got about 3 core artists I work with right now. I can give them each a project, and they can only work on those projects before they can go to the next one. So it's just a matter of how fast can they get through each of those pieces while keeping it good quality before they move on to the next one. And so I would suggest, if you guys are interested and haven't done so already, if you've been tuning into these streams, if you've been watching the free stuff, what have you, and you've been thinking about supporting Legend Seeker, now would be a really great time to do that. I'm going to probably set up a goal here soon that I'm hoping to kind of align with my birthday, a goal that I hope to meet on my birthday. That is the people always ask every year, do you have like a list or something? Honestly, if I could ask for anything, it would be for your support on Legend Seeker, because that is what is really dear to me. That's what I want to do. I want to make this. I want to bring it to you guys. And while money doesn't solve everything, it does help. I could probably, with enough support, bring on a 4th artist, for example, and that would greatly speed up what we're doing. So if you're thinking about it, check out the Patreon. That is the preferred way of support. If you're willing to go there, pick a tier that is suitable for you. I know the uncommon and the gold tier, we still have the 7-day free trial going on. So you can go in there and take a look around for free for 7 days. And if you decide, yeah, I like what they're doing here, I want to support it, you can stay on and let that subscription go and keep moving. You can also subscribe on our Discord. We do put the same information in Discord, but it's not as well organized because Discord isn't really designed for that. It is a grindier read, but you'll still have access to most of the information that we put on the Patreon. The main thing you won't get is going to be the videos. So whenever I do occasional videos, like I did a video showing off the character sheet and kind of a poster version of the map, for example. I lost my train of thought because I got yelled at. What was it? Well, whatever. Oh, the videos. So occasionally I'll do a video on there, or put something. The other thing is, if you want to be Mythic tier, which is our highest tier, even though we don't technically have quote unquote investors, I call it our investor tier because it's the high price tag one. And when you stick around long enough for that, you'll get a character made in the universe. That'll be an important character, like highly impactful character that's famous in the lore. Stay around a little longer, you're going to get exclusive miniature of Grix, the god of trickery and deception, and kind of the catalyst for what is the God Killer War, a very central piece of lore for our universe. Later on, you'll also unlock a miniature for the character that you made with us, and so on and so forth. So we really try to give you a chance to be a part of the universe itself, and really thank you for being at the Mythic tier. We appreciate everybody, of course. If you're supporting it all, thank you. But Mythic, they're definitely going 10 times, the miles on helping us there, and we appreciate you a lot. There are still mythics available. Yes, we have 3 or 4 seats available, I believe. Because we did have a mythic. Ultimately, he ran into some financial, situation, and that happens. And he had to back out. But yeah, so we do have a few seats open if you're considering. Oh, okay. So Frost, you said you had some questions for me. What questions did you have?
One of them was, I'm thinking about more of the godchild, the godkin, the kind of the demigods or the demigod monsters, the things we can create. Some of them demigods, some of them probably pretty monstrous, like Minotaur or Caliban, horrible versions. I thought about having, and I kind of wrote this up already, of a character, a being that was not the psychopomp of Mordecai, but a blending of Arintha and Mordecai having worked together. And this person would be kind of the herald of natural death, not the person who's actually leading them, but this nagging voice in the ear of sentient undead, but also helping shepherd lost non-malevolent dead that maybe just lost, and that's kind of her purpose. I'm trying to think if that could fill a place in there, if we can find a way to actually work that into the whole mythos and the story of the world, because there would be a need for something like that, especially after the God Killer War and the devastation and all the dead everywhere.
Yeah, and so those who haven't aren't updated on the lore, there is a shepherding of souls that has to be done to take them to the underworld. So when people die, their souls, whatever your explanation for them existing might be, they do kind of wander lost out there, and so they do need a way to get to the underworld. Because the problem is, for some reason, that's not explained by any sort of like exact science. The longer they stay outside of the underworld after passing, the more unstable their spirit becomes, to the point where they can become mad. And that's when you end up with ghosts, banshees, and things like that are actually dangerous. So yeah, having some sort of shepherd that would be involved. I know Mordecai and Arintha. So Mordecai is the god of death in the underworld. Arintha is the goddess of visions and the future and fate and destiny. They work a little bit in tandem as well. She uses a bit of her ability to see and things like that to help guide him to the places that they need to find these people and get them to the underworld. So yeah, having some sort of intermediary guide that they could use in that capacity, I think is a good idea.
I think she could be interesting. I wrote up some more stuff about it. I gave her a name and whatnot. Is my audio cutting out for you guys on stream? Because Dave's asking what. Is it cutting out for you or no?
Yeah, it sounds kind of like you might have some sort of like noise gate or filter or something, and it's cutting off either the beginning or the end of some of the things you're saying.
All right, let me turn one more thing off. If I start hissing, let me know. Am I making crazy hissing noises now?
Like right now you sound fine.
Okay.
So I don't know.
If I keep talking, it's possibly cutting out or maybe losing some of the words. I don't know.
Right now it's clear. It was like as soon as you started like getting into your narration and telling us what you wanted to tell us, that's when it started. So I don't know why or what triggered it. But
it sounds like I'm slurping soup. No, nothing has changed. It's the same setup I use in my streams and everything else. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But you sound good now. So we'll just we'll keep going.
Just keep trying it.
All right.
That was one of the questions. I'm trying to remember. There was another question specifically I threw in there that you kind of answered, which was you were talking about, the multiclassing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought there was another question that I had thrown in there before. But I'll look for it and we can see if it actually comes up.
Sure. If you find it, let me know.
With it.
All right. I only see one current screenshot, so I might have to scroll through here. But let's see. So Darth Dave said, I might be late, but there are lots of questions. Well, that's good. We like questions. When you talk about multiclassing and advancing, are there going to be more prerequisites for feats? So that the increase in certain skills might reflect the development of certain feats. All right, so yeah, feats, which we call the equivalent of the feat we call edges in the system. I don't know that it's necessarily the multiclassing thing is going to affect the edges per se. They're going to be what they are. The qualifications for the edges aren't going to change because of the multiclassing. Compared to something like 5th edition or Pathfinder 2nd edition or something like that, it'll certainly be more modular. I'm going to be going back to a little bit of the some of the like 3-tier kind of edges or feats. So for example, dual wielding, there might be a 2-weapon fighting 1, a 2-weapon fighting 2, and a 2-weapon fighting 3, and each one you take, get a little bit better at it, that kind of thing. So that sort of stuff will exist. Since you're asking about the multiclassing, I'll touch on that real quick. So one of the core things that I have been working on the last week is figuring out how we wanted to do multiclassing, because something that it's always bothered me, and I do think is it's a problem in terms of excessive power gaming. It's also a problem in terms of power creep in tabletop games. The more books and stuff you put out, is the behavior of players dipping into multiple classes to gain the best bits and parts of all the classes to make the super character, without any real regard to what it actually means to be in those classes. There's been, I think, a very negative trend in particular in the tabletop space once it kind of got invaded by a certain type of politics and thought, where they really warped the idea of the rule of cool. The rule of cool kind of has its place, like, oh, you're going to do something cool, I'm going to allow it, that kind of stuff. And it's really gotten like they really pushed the envelope over and over and over again to now the rule of cool is just let the players do whatever they want. And who cares about the system or the rules or any of it, the lore, right? If the players want to do it, I am the DM and I have to let them. That is the rule of cool. I don't really ascribe to that. I'm not a big fan of it. And one of the things that really gets left behind and that has been kind of a trend is this idea of reflavor everything. Everything can be reflavored. For example, a spell. You didn't cast a fireball, you cast a concussive ball of force, and we're going to reflavor it as just being a ball of force. And now instead of doing fire damage, it does force damage, things like that. Kind of started there. That's really where they started pushing the envelope, and then it carried over to even classes. Now, classes are just these abstract things. It's just mechanics. You don't actually have to play for the classes. The classes don't mean anything. So yeah, you can just cherry pick from everything and create a lion tamer, Dr. Dolittle type character. It's like, it's really gone to that extreme, and it's not an extreme that I really like. And I really want to get away from that. And I want to return back to form in that regard on Legend Seeker, that when you're playing a class, those mechanics, they're not just arbitrary mechanics. It's not just a sheet of numbers and rules that mean nothing. They represent something in the universe and how it functions. A class is sort of like the law of gravity in our world. You don't just get to reflavor gravity. Gravity functions, and it's gravity. If you jump off a building, you're gonna fall, unless you have something that would allow you not to, right? And then that would go into like the laws of aerodynamics and things like that. Classes are the same thing. They represent something, and they are a fundamental root piece of the world you're representing through the game. So when you make rules, for example, for a paladin, those mechanics of the paladin class represent how in the game world a paladin specifically functions. Not just anybody. All right, not just anybody functions this way. A paladin functions this way. So it doesn't make any sense to take this arbitrary approach that you can just kind of piece things together and any class can be anything. I really don't ascribe to that. Because at that point, why even have classes? Just play a classless system. So that's kind of, I was like, how can, and then the other thing is it just creates this enormous power creep. because then you get people, hey, I'm going to take a dip into Warlock, but I'm also going to take a dip into Cleric, and I'm going to take a dip into Fighter, and I also want to dip over here in Rogue because I want the sneak attack on all the things that I'm overpowering now. And now you have this like mismatched hodgepodge Frankenstein of a combination that makes no sense, and there's no explanation for why you have all these skills. And like these things are almost every one of these classes in any system that has classes, they represent like a lifestyle that you have dedicated as a person, as a character, a lifetime of developing. A rogue just isn't some random guy who's suave on the streets. You've dedicated your life to learning how to be the best of the best at picking locks and disabling traps, sneaking in the shadows, making connections. You've been forming connections in this underworld for years. It's not something you just learn in a week because you gained a level. And that's how I feel about like a paladin. A paladin, you've been called to be a champion for your god, or the order of laws, or whatever it is, the cosmic order that you are ascribed to. A wizard, that's study. You study, and practice. You've probably been in some sort of tutelage, gone to an academy, studied a lot of books over years. Right?
I'm not an official wizard, but I did stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. So fireball. Like,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So the way I look at it is, yeah, you shouldn't be able to just at when you reach level 1 as a character, prior to level 1, you were an NPC. If you think of the game in terms of mechanics in the universe, you were a commoner, and you went out, you gained some experience, you learned a trade over a long course of time to suddenly become what is equivalently a human or a heroic character. And it's that point where suddenly now you're a level 1 wizard. That's how you earned that. So then to suddenly at level 2, a month of gameplay later, to be like, oh, well, I was a rogue, but now I'm also a wizard. It doesn't make any sense. I don't really buy into that. So what we've done is we found a way to still allow for it, but to kind of gate it a little bit so that your character does need to spend some time in their current class before they can move on to the next thing. And so what we've done is there's a few things that'll be gated by this, but we do have ranks. So every character will level up in terms of levels. You got your level 1, you got your level 2, level 3, so on and so forth, right? All the way up to 20. But then certain batches of those levels, so level 1 through level 4, for example, are all considered a rank, and that rank will be novice. And then the next 4 levels are the rank of seasoned, and then the rank of veteran, and then the rank of heroic, all the way up to legendary. These are temporary names for the moment. They might stay the same, they might change, I'm not sure yet. But the idea is there are 5 kind of tiers of play, and each tier is the moment you can multi-class. So during your time as your rogue adventuring and getting all the way up to level 4, you could have been establishing through roleplay why it is you're becoming a wizard. How did you become a wizard? Studying in your books and things like that, and preparing your stats accordingly, because rogues don't necessarily need intelligence as a key stat, but maybe as you're leveling up, you're adding points into intelligence so that you can be a good wizard. And then when you get there, then you can multi-class. And I think that just makes more sense. Also, in the early levels, it allows everybody to kind of have their own role and be able to shine. There's nothing worse than being a character who decided, hey, I'm going to go full rogue, and you're getting outshined by the guy that decided to make a rogue hexblade warlock barbarian because he has your core skill, but he also has the core skill of 3 other classes, and so he does everything you do better. That sucks. Nobody wants to experience that. So it's nice to have your lane and be able to specialize in it, and everybody gets to shine and have their key moments during the gameplay and stuff. So with every rank, you can multi-class, and then and that allows you to it allows it to be more flavorful, more impactful. It really gives the classes identity and not just bits and baubles that you cobble together to Frankenstein something. And it also what's the word I'm looking for? It kind of hedges the power creep a little bit, because when you can't just stitch everything together into little tiny pieces all at once immediately at the beginning, you have to take time to do it. You can do more with this, with your expansions. So when you make further books, when you add spells, when you add skills, you can do that knowing it's not going to introduce an enormous amount of power creep. It'll at least be less of it. It'll be less, a little bit less of it, and it won't be as obtrusive.
I agree, and I think having like you said, there are certain edges that we require, for prestige classes and this and that, require you to have certain things. So it could be, I'm really working towards that prestige. I'd like to take this other class, but if it does, it's going to eat into that, and it's going to push my ability to get into that prestige class even farther back.
Yeah. So we'll and that's a good point. We're going to have prestige and advanced classes. Those are like highly specialized classes. That basically, when you take them, it's a bit of a power swing because you have taken the time to invest the things you need to meet the requirements for this advanced specialized class. So when you get there, because you took the time to build towards that advancement, it should be a swing for you. It should be more powerful, and it should be a very highly specialized class. So, for example, if we had a prestige class called a Rune Knight or something, right? That would be some combination of probably fighter and barbarian with like a wizard class. So for your first 4 levels, you might take fighter and learn your martial prowess. And while you're doing that, be studying in your books to become a good wizard. And then for your next tier, which is going to be levels 5 through 8, now you're investing into your wizard levels. And the prestige class of Rune Knight might say, hey, you need to at least have this talent from the wizard class, this talent from the fighter class or the barbarian class, and you need to have a intelligence score of this and this edge. And if you have met those goals, then you are then eligible to, on your 3rd rank, which is going to be 8 and up, take that prestige class. And it'll be highly specialized.
After you're done, I have one more question in this whole mix of things that I forgot to ask before, and I remembered it finally.
Oh, good. So that'll be those prestige classes will be very powerful, to be highly specialized. So now instead of having to try to cobble together a janky picking of parts to create in your mind something that'd be a Rune Knight, there is actually a class that is designed to function as a Rune Knight. You just had to qualify for it, and it'll do things that are highly specialized towards that. So yeah, that's the idea behind what we're doing with the multi-classing. I think it'll make for a better experience for everybody. Once it's at your table and you're the keeper, you can do whatever you want, obviously. You could be like, nah, I'm not doing that. You guys mix and match all you want. But, we're doing it with a purpose. And I think it'll kind of recapture and kind of bring things back to what it means. Like, being these things in the universe, it means something. It should mean something. The classes don't have, if it didn't mean anything, why not just call them class A, B, C, and D? It's no, they mean something, they represent something, and we want to recapture that. So hopefully that answered your question, Darth Dave, and that kind of that's sort of the topic I wanted to talk about anyways. So if you guys have more questions about that in chat, please drop them. I will continue answering them. What was the question you had?
I know right now we have one restriction on classes in place that is warlocks are male and witches are female. Are you planning on introducing any restrictions in terms of race? Like if you are a lizard folk, you can never train as a Ladar class. You have to get very specific things, or is it just pretty much just up to the DMs or the keepers to decide in their world, like, hey,
so for
one of the dwarven wizards.
So for core classes, no, there's not going to be any. The only racial restriction I can think of is with the Soul Forged. And I'm not even sure that that's going to be a restriction as of yet. But if it's going to be, that restriction is so the Soul Forged race, when you play it, you pick instead of a male versus female dynamic per se, there's 2 models of Soul Forged. There's kind of a warrior build, and then there is a caster build. And because these are all avatars that were forged for a specific purpose before they were freed, that you can't really change what you were built as. So if you're the warrior kind, you're sort of like what the stormtroopers were for Grix during the war. You're kind of the meaty enforcers, and you're really built to be kind of a bruiser and take on a martial class of some kind. Whereas if you take the other build, it's a bit of a thinner frame of an avatar, and it's got some like crystals grafted into the stone that are used to directly channel the mana stream. And so they were really kind of the casters for Grix, kind of their support units that would kind of be behind the front stormtrooper type lines. I don't know if I'm going to make that a hard restriction, that the only way you can play as a caster as a Soul Forged is to take the caster one, but you'd be greatly disadvantaging yourself probably if we allowed you to do it with the other.
And there'll be somebody who'll just do it. And that, getting back to what you're saying about the multiclassing, if you look in literature and stuff, there are a lot of really cool characters that are like really good at a thing and have really big flaws because they're really good at one thing. And people love those characters. There are some characters in books who are like amazing at a lot of things, but they can get a little boring after a while because they don't have anything they're not really good at. And it's like, why do you have people around you? Just do all the things and you're pretty much better than everybody. So it's difficult sometimes to have the people like that in games. Because you're like, wow, you can heal, you can do range spells, you can hide over inside of a building because you've got stealth and you've got a pet. What are the rest of the people are going to do? It's I'm glad that this kind of stuff is being kind of thought about in that respect, because it'll help keep the characters and the players a little more engaged, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, there's even a part of me that likes the idea of just
really cutting out again. He says I'm cutting out again.
I could hear it. You were.
Why in the world is it cutting out? I really don't like the voice meter potato thingy, because to try and get rid of a little bit of the background hiss.
Let me see.
I'm gonna turn the voice meter potato thing down, and if you guys start hearing a lot of the hiss, that's why. So
yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I will let you know, and I don't think I have any filters on you, so it shouldn't be me doing it to you either. Okay. What was I gonna say? I'm not even opposed to like just. I'm not going to do this because I do like the idea of prestige classes and being able to train in other things, but I'm not against the idea of pure classes. You know, Diablo 2, for example, you can't really mix and match. You pick your class and that's what you play, and then everybody really does have their role, and that is what it is. So I mean, even pure classes can be fun, but I think we're going to find kind of the happy medium there, and people, I think you guys are going to like it. I think when you see what we're doing and actually get to try it and do it firsthand, you'll appreciate the difference that it makes. So
well, we'll see if I keep cutting out here. Like I said, I turned my the denoiser down about halfway, and if it's still cutting out, then you'll probably have to hear hissing and a lot of cats running around. That's what they do. I can't have.
I wish my cat.
That camera broke.
I wish my cat would come down here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a cup of coffee and check on them in a second. So I'm gonna mute myself and wander off stream like I normally do, because that's what I do, just like a cat.
That's fine. I can answer the next question here. Let's see. Drag Noodle Soup says, "Do they have to be direct descendants of the gods, or are they just something that the gods helped create and shape?" I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Yeah, I don't know what that's in reference to. Who is they? Darth Dave says, does this affect level up types? Or does this affect level up types like experience points versus milestone versus roleplay points, connections, and interactions? I'm not sure what this is. Or if you're referring to the multiclassing, it shouldn't. It's the same thing. So it's just you level up. The only thing that is changing here is essentially at level 1, you can't then multi-class in a rogue at level 2. You got to wait until you've hit that next tier of play, which is going to be level 5 to 8. And then at that point, you can take on a second core class if you want. So yeah, that shouldn't affect anything. I saw another thing and I lost it somewhere. Here we go. When do we get to see test play? Hopefully here soon-ish. We had a bit of a hiccup. Somebody asked something. Oh, somebody asked something earlier. Damn it, where'd that screenshot go? About when play tests are coming or something like that. Essentially when it's ready to play test. One of the challenges I've run into is being a streamer and a full-time job while trying to write a book is anytime something is a setback, it's the book that usually gets kicked down the road a little bit because it's the one thing that can wait, technically. So, for example, if there's a big project at work and I'm having to work extra shifts and what have you, I can't really afford to let the channel go dark because that'll kill the channel. So where's the sacrifice have to be made? Taking a little time off from writing on the book. If the channel's in trouble, right? For example, we weren't necessarily in trouble, but you know, when Sevi jumped ship to do her thing, right? There was a lot of things that suddenly had to be fixed. Star Wars is gone. We had to replace that with something. We needed to find somebody new to take over her spot in Strange Eons. And then, of course, we were also already in the middle of trying to get Moss's thing planned, plus a few other projects I can't tell you about yet. So it was a lot of stuff suddenly just dumped in my lap at once that had to be taken care of, and it was not something I could not put off. Because if I did put it off, there's going to come a point in time, probably honestly would have been about now. I would have said this last week. If I had not taken the time to do what I needed to then, the channel would be dark now. So we would have had a good month and a half, maybe even 2 months of just one show running on the channel. So yeah, so anytime that comes up and there's a hiccup with the channel or at work or real life or something, it's always the book that suffers for it, and I hate that. But that's just the reality of how it goes. So I try not to pigeonhole a specific date or time on when these things are going to happen, just because I know my luck and I know how things go. And I don't want to be like, hey guys, we're going to have a play test definitely by Halloween. And then, you know, have like a Sevi leaves the channel incident and then suddenly be like, well, I know I said Halloween, guys. You know, I don't want to keep playing that game over and over again. So it's easier to just say that, yeah, I let you know what the process is going to be. I'm trying to be transparent about how we're going to be doing it, what those playtests are going to look like. But the actual dates have been a little, I've been trying to keep them somewhat vague. The first, probably your closest indicator that we're getting close to the playtest point. There is a stream that we're going to be doing where we build a character live. Once we're at that point, you can assume that the first round of playtests probably isn't too far off from that. Yeah, so
I'm going to chime in on one thing really quickly, and we'll see if I cut out. I'm going to lean towards the mic here so you can hear me well. One of the things, Dave, that I think that people do, and Commander N actually put this in a very fun way when he was talking about something. People multi-class and people do things in classes because number goes up. They like number goes up.
That is accurate. That is accurate.
And some people just want to be the person whose character kills everything. And they're like, I got most kills. It's like, okay, cool. That's what they love doing. But sometimes they feel the only way to do that is a multi-class. I'm like, nah, you can do it pure class. It's just a different mentality. Nothing wrong with it. Just different ways of doing it.
Absolutely. And, you know, and one thing that does help, I know somebody said something, I just missed it. Somebody said something about February. We had what I'd hoped was going to be a goal for getting things done by MegaCon. But part of that was I needed to be at a certain level on Patreon to make that happen. So I'm going to start setting some hard goals for Patreon support. I already have goals for myself. So me, Froste, and Moss, we talk about, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we kind of want to be by X point. And we do set kind of deadlines for ourselves to get certain things done. And in Chrysanthe, she'll kind of smack me around a little bit too and be like, you need to work on this. She has a good idea of kind of what my agenda is as well a lot of times. And we try to hold each other all accountable for that stuff. But certainly, if the support, on Patreon rises to a high enough level, that frees up a lot. Because of the things I do, just give you an idea of what my schedule / life is. I have my main job, which is 12-hour shifts 3 to 4 times a week. Plus, sometimes they call me in. I have the channel, which you guys know how busy that is. Right. I run at least 2 shows myself. I do a gaming stream every other week. I do this every other week. Plus we do random one shots. And even though I don't technically appear on the other shows, I still play a big part in those too. Because this is my channel. And I do keep my hands in those pots. And I have a vision for how this channel should be and, how we want to be branded and how we want to present ourselves. And I have to take care of the resources. So anytime one of our showrunners needs something or runs into a problem or whatever, I'm pretty much the one that has to solve it, right? So that takes up a lot of time. And on top of that, I run private games, if you don't know. So I run private games where I'm running sessions for guys, basically for income. And I try to have a family life in there somewhere. So it is very busy. If I could eliminate a chunk of that, it would help a lot. So one of the big things that would really, if we can get the Patreon support to a certain level where I can start dropping off some of those professional games, for example, that's an extra 6 to 9 hours a week, just if I drop 1 or 2 of those games, because that gets rid of all the prep work for it, that sort of thing. I'm not in a spot where I can afford to do that currently. So yeah, it's a lot. And we're working very hard, though, I promise you. There's a lot of material. As I said, I've got something like 500 pages of text. I haven't been doing nothing. I can promise you that. And Chrysanthemum can tell you. She's seen it. I know there was something. Oh, when are we going to see that test play? Hopefully soon. And if you're curious as to what the play testing will look like, go check out the Patreon. There's a whole entry on it that's going to describe the process and the layers of it and the way we're going to work through that when it's time. Next question. How many adventure paths do you have in the works for now? Depends on what you mean by in the works. Planned? Like, what do I have on the docket in terms of adventures that I want to tell and put out over this couple of years? I have like 6. How many are actually in production? 1. And that's the one that Moss is currently working on. So the idea is once we get these books to the point where we are like, all right, that's polished. This is what we're going to put out to the audience. Then we're not going to be resting. Me and Froste aren't going to be taking a vacation. We're immediately going to move on to the next book, onto the next project. So while you guys are, when you see us actually do like the pre-launch where we're hyping stuff up, at that point, we've already started working on the next thing. So that answers that. Is Legend Seeker going to lean more into the combat element or the roleplay element? That's up to you as the keeper, right? It's going to be rooted in the type of tabletop games I grew up in, which were based on tactical war games. So certainly combat is going to be a major element. But how much of that you do versus story, that is solely on you and your table. I think that is, I don't really know how else to answer that. I can't know what you'll do at your table. The adventures will be designed in such a way to give you that same flexibility. There will be story there. There will be battle there. How much of that you lean into at your table, that's on you. This one. Oh, I guess there's a question for you, Frost. Godlings and
question.
Godlings and demigods.
Yeah, I've been naming them the godkin right now because they're not necessarily a demigod. They are related to, birthed by, kind of created by the gods. So that's why I'm calling them godkin. They could be a monster. They could be a horrible monster.
So the question
I went with that.
So the question is, do they have to be direct descendants of the gods, or are they something the gods helped create and shape?
They're both. Some of them are direct descendants, like Ari and Asa. They are direct descendants of Xander. They're living bipedal humanoid demigods. Other ones like Lori, she is an idea that was created by Mordecai and Arintha, and she became, well, a being that now enforces their will, but she has her own free will because she is a godkin. So they're going to be all over the place. And honestly, I think that one of the other creatures I created, I can't remember what it's called, that huge island turtle, could be considered a godkin.
Interesting. Well, there you go. So they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and origins. I guess it's a little bit about the power and purpose, more so than how they came to be.
I don't think they're multi-classed either. I'm kidding.
Okay. Another one that I missed. I feel like I did, but I guess I didn't. Maybe I'm losing my mind. I swear to God, there was another question. I guess I'm brain dead. All right, let me scroll through. And did you say you found another question?
That was my question. The one about the races and the multi-class. That was something that was in the back of my mind.
I really love the roleplay emphasis of our one shot with Frost. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, you could definitely, you can like even Ice Prick, right? That was, I think, more roleplay over mechanics. Mechanics were just there to basically decide what happens to you when you make a bad decision. That's pretty much what it was there for. So yeah, I definitely think, you can have a lot of fun with just doing roleplay alone. One of my favorite sessions I ever had, and I know a bunch of you are going to say gay in chat, and that's fine. But I was invited to a show for an RPG called Good Something. I can't remember the actual name of it, but it was based on the Jane Austen novels and era. And it was basically like societal roleplay, and it had like mechanics in there, like every player, you had your own character, but then you also created like two co-characters for the DM to use, but you made them up. You gave them to them, and they would intersperse them in the story to cause drama and stuff. And you would also get these tokens that you could spend, and they were like a limited amount to cause drama later on in the thing. So, for example, if two people were talking and like scheming or something, I could play a token to be like, I want his brother to have heard this around the corner and know that they were talking about the Duke, or something like that. And then now suddenly they have to face the consequences of that later. It sounds like it would be dull, but it was so fun. I don't know why, but it was just so funny. And so roleplay can be really good. Roleplay can be really good. Even without the mechanics. If we get 10 mythics by the end of the month, Erudi shaves his beard? Beard. Chrysanthemum might actually leave the channel if I shave my beard. You might all leave the channel if I shave my beard. Like reach 10 mythics or get another 10 mythics? I think would be the question. Shaving my beard, that is... Oh boy.
Okay, just half of it. Just like right across here. No, like at an angle across your face? No? Maybe not.
I think I'd have to think about how that would need to be set up. But if we got the equivalent of X number of mythics or something, I might be able to think of that. But I don't know. I got to think of some sort of fun goal. I do want to think of something to encourage people to want to take part, because We really, at some point, need to hype this up and get a shot of adrenaline put into the system a little bit to jumpstart some of that artwork and stuff and free up more of my time is another big thing. But if you're thinking about it, support Legend Seeker on Patreon. There is a lot of writing going on. That's true. Don't drop my family. Well, I don't intend to. Is there a new chrysanthemum? How many chrysanthemums are there?
It's chrysanthemum.
Yeah. I have to scold Erudi daily. No, thank you. I don't need more nuggets nagging me. Multiclassing seems like, oh shit, I just... with a simple feat option. I guess I need to understand what you're saying, Darthy. I don't understand what you mean by gating multiclassing with feats, but I guess the idea is you would take the feat you want preemptively for the next class you want to pick up. Yeah, so, oh, and that's the other thing. So for core classes, it's very basic things you have to meet, right? To be a barbarian, you need a certain amount of strength. It's not hard to qualify for the multi-class. It's just the idea narratively and in terms of, symbolism of the class itself, that at level 1, you shouldn't be a wizard, and then by level 2, suddenly you know everything about being a barbarian. That doesn't really fly or make any sense to me. I like the idea of there having to be a journey there. That journey can take many, many forms. It could literally just be that your wizard is like, I don't like these scrawny arms, and I'm going to do push-ups every night, and I want to be able to go on the front line and sling my spells. Or it could be that there's another barbarian in the party he's getting tutelage from, or whatever. There's a whole bunch of reasons it can happen. How you get there is up to you. But yeah, actually qualifying is not hard for the core classes. It's just meeting that time gate and having like 1-2 stats or whatever that would be. The prestige classes are the one where you really have to line stuff up. Right, so the prestige classes are the ones that really require you to do a heavy investment. Oops. Shit, I went too far. Keep scrolling past. Or on a bad roll, a Molotov cocktail was a great decision. Just video game mechanics kicked in. Yeah. Poor Moss on his Molotov cocktail. That did not go well for him. Oh, I see what you're saying, Dragon Soup. Yeah, so yeah, Legend Seeker definitely leans more towards tactical warfare roleplay. So it's gonna be very much you're gonna feel very at home if you play D&D or Pathfinder. It's not gonna feel like Call of Cthulhu for sure. You talked about spell cards in the past. Are there going to be card decks? Yes. I intend for there to be decks of powers. And my goal is to make them by class. So if you're somebody who knows you're going to be a wizard player, for example, there would be a wizard's card deck you could buy that has all the wizard spells in it, with about 4 copies of each, so that you can literally be able to show what spells you're using and stuff. It would be an aid. It would be required, but it would be an optional tool that you could have, for sure. Total of 10 by the end of October. I don't think it's going to happen in 2 days.
Well, and he followed up that he said, you got to think fast. It's happening quick.
Yeah. No, if I set something up for that, it'll likely be, technically I should do it for November. So I'd probably say like November 6th to December 6th, since that is Fedstivus, the day where we celebrate my existence as a Fed. Yeah, so that would be likely what I would set up, something during that time. Your Italian Erudi, the hair will grow back in 2 weeks. Yeah, but in between that, I'm gonna look a little strange. Darth Dave says, okay, so I multi-class in a rogue for traps, but I don't care about anything else. So I want a monk that can deal with traps. Yeah, so you could definitely do that. But I don't want it as, and so mechanically speaking, it doesn't make any sense. And that's the sort of thing I'm trying to prevent, right? I don't think it makes sense that you're this dedicated person who is good at X, Y, and Z, but you just cherry pick all the best mechanics from all the other classes. Like those classes are, symbolic of an investment of time and learning in a very specific lifestyle. So yeah, once you reach level 5, you could certainly dip into Rogue and take however many levels it'll take to get that first talent that lets you do trap stuff. And then you can never do Rogue again. You invested enough time to be good at the elements of Rogue that are about picking locks and disabling traps. And maybe you don't care about the sneak attack and all the extra cool benefits you get at the higher levels. You just wanted that one little thing, but that still, you took the journey to get there. And it allows you to have had to invest time to do it. And at the same time, the other half of this equation is it allows if somebody else took Rogue, right, that they get a good 4 levels of getting to be the Rogue, the guy that they rely on to unlock the doors and do the traps without somebody else stepping on their toes or overshadowing them somehow. And I think that does allow for that. And again, power creep. One of the main reasons power creep happens so fast, in my opinion, with tabletop games is because they allow that freedom of multi-classing. So anytime they add a feature to any class, especially at the low levels, if they add, something in that level 1 to 5 range, it makes it very tempting to dip into that class for one level just to grab that one tiny feature. And then over time, once you got like 10 books, you got several low-level, powerful features, and there is some super formula out there from some streamer that's been like cracking out the numbers. He puts the super build out, and he's like, be the super, character in D&D, and the next thing you know, by level 4, you're strong as like a level 8 character. Because that power creep is just so insidious. If by having that gate there and forcing you to spend some time in your class, that is much less likely to happen.
Erudia, did you ever play the MMO Asheron's Call back in the day?
I did not.
It was kind of classless because you took the abilities you wanted, and that's what it turned into. People were like, all right, everybody just do this. Especially when they did Asheron's Call too. It was like, oh.
It's one of the things I used to love about Magic the Gathering. I played Magic the Gathering before the internet was really in its full power, right? So knowing what decks to make was your brain. Your brain had to do that. You had to know the cards. You had to know the collection. You had to come up with cool ideas and interactions. And it made it so cool when you go to these tournaments or you'd go to card shops and play with these people, or you and your friends would be working on your decks in secret over the week and then meet for your Saturday game of Magic. You would see so many new and cool things and have to adapt and learn how to fight those with the decks you've already made. Then you fast forward to today, that doesn't exist anymore. They have a meta, there's these power lists, everybody has the same deck, they all bought the same cards, you're fighting the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. There's tech lists and sideboards. It's not even fun anymore. It's just it's a sport, and nobody plays it just to have fun and be creative and be, and I feel like that's a lot of where it goes when you allow too much power creep into things like D&D. And it also creates a balancing problem for the keeper or the GM, right? I had this problem with the Echo Knight specifically. Now, that wasn't a multi-class, but it was still a problem. And this would happen sometimes with multi-classing as well, where they power gamed so hard and they min-maxed their stats so hard and they picked all the right pieces for multiple classes so quickly that my options were throwing counters at them, and that one character was going to outshine them all and basically solve the entire encounter for them every time. Or make the encounter enough to challenge that person, but now all the other players are outclassed and struggling, and they're always down at 0 hit points all the time. I don't know. it's an awful feeling, and I'm hoping that this will make a better experience. That's my goal at the very least, and we'll find out in playtesting, if that's going to be the case. I prefer the pure class, but I liked the hex edge that came with witch, but loved the wizard. So if I just had an edge for the hex, those are examples. Yeah, so that's probably more akin. Now that's that's something where a system like Suede has a lot of strength, right? Now I know those of you who play with me privately, you play Savage Pathfinder. So it's a little less of an example of that because they create these super edges that are supposed to emulate classes. But if you play just raw Savage Worlds, the core version, that is a classless book. There are no classes in that book. So it really is defined by your feats or your edges in that case. And so you can do exactly what you're talking about. You can grab this arcane background, that arcane background, this little piece here, that little piece there, and you essentially just, there are no classes. You're building your own archetype of a character in the way that you envision them functioning and working. You're not really fulfilling a role in a universe. Whereas with Legend Seeker, you're fulfilling a role in a universe. There are certain types of people out there, certain types of characters and professions that are known to go out there and fight monsters, save the world, and something that a farmer is probably just not going to be doing on his own unless he learns a very special set of skills.
What level farmer? Is he the prestige farmer, or is he just the regular farmer?
Prestige farmer for sure. Prestige farmer for sure. So yeah, that would probably be more aligned with a classless system, with some rare exceptions. There might be some classes or prestige classes or something that lets you grab talents from other things. That makes sense. But those are probably more rare. Dragon Noodle Soup says, is there any mechanical difference between the Warlock and the Witch? Yes. It's not an enormous one, but essentially, if you take Warlock, there'll be a few talent trees and patrons that are Warlock exclusive. If you take Witch, there'll be a few talent trees and patrons that are Witch exclusive. And in the center, they'll sort of be like either side can pick these things, and it'll be some generic talent trees that they can both use, as well as some patrons that will work with either or. So yeah, there'll definitely be some mechanical differences and flavor differences as you can get by picking Warlock over Witch or Warlock for sure.
Tuesdays, Hexblade Warlock. Yeah, well, honestly, one of the things that I've seen so many times, people are like, my favorite class is a Paladin Warlock. I'm like, oh, another one? Okay.
Yeah, well,
I know
Warlock.
So many people feel like they're very edgy and I came up with this idea. I was like, did you?
Yeah, Warlock is extremely popular to multi-class into because you get their most powerful feature at level 1. It's one of the best cantrips you can get, and it's got a huge range. It's a damage type that nobody has resistance to. So everybody's just like, oh, I'm just going to take a dip into Warlock, and not only do I get this cool cantrip, but I also get a few spell slots and a bunch of other cool shit, and I get that all at level 1. It makes no sense. I didn't go look for a patron, and I'm going to ignore the fact I even have a patron or any of the consequences that would come with that. But I am going to get that. That Eldritch Blast. So help me God. And that's the sort of stuff that that's what I mean. Like being a Warlock, it means something. Okay, you're not just a caster. You have made a pact or a deal with some being much greater than yourself, and that power comes with a price. People just want to ignore that stuff and be like, no, I just want it for this mechanic. I don't want to roleplay all that stuff. And it's like, then don't dip into Warlock. The reason you get that extra cool cantrip is because you're paying a narrative price to be a Warlock or and people forget that stuff.
Hey, could you imagine if everybody in a small village was just like, why don't we all learn how to do Eldritch Blast? Okay. The orcs are like, we're going to kill these people. There's 8 of us. There's 30 of them, but it doesn't matter. And they come over the hill, and all of a sudden it's just like, why is everybody exploding? Running away into the hills. Like, oh, boy.
Yeah, exactly. It's, like I said, there's a lot of power gaming, too. There was a build that was going around for a while that was like 1 level warlock, 1 level or 2 levels priest, and then you would take shadow priest, a level of wizard, and then something else. I can't remember what the 4th thing was, but essentially after you take those 4 levels and you use a certain combination of spells and abilities, you exist, but nothing can interact with you. So you're like,
you can take short rests and get spell slots, but also points back and this and that. I mean, there's a beauty in that when people do that. I gotta say, fitting all the Tetris pieces together, doing all the magic,
doing cool things. Yeah,
it's entertaining.
It can be, but like there's one player made a character like it was almost like there's really no point in your character being here. The bad guys can't interact with you. Nothing can role play with you. Nothing can see you. You're basically just random damage happening from some like space on the board, and nobody knows why. And other than that, you have no impact on the story or the game. It's like, I guess cool, but it's just like, I don't know. It's certainly not my way of thinking when I build characters. I think it's good to have some skin in the game, and merits and flaws are both very important, I think, in any role-playing experience. And like this particular build, it was like you could use Eldritch Blast from 300 feet away. You're enveloped in darkness, and while you're in darkness, you're also considered invisible. And if anything still happens to hit you, because you dipped into wizard, you have shield. So basically, yeah, you exist off the map somewhere, and nothing ever interacts with you. And on the rare occasion that something manages to get a natural 20 or something, or whatever, like a 19, and actually hit you, shield. It's like,
yeah, okay. We had a person who played a character like that, and we just literally said, "Are you going to call in the orbital cannon here, the orbital airstrike?" Because he was just a satellite orbiting the map, and you'd see a every once in a while, like, oh, okay, he's here still.
And a little bit on that, I'll be honest, is it's not necessarily on the players, it's on the game designers, and which is why I'm trying to approach this from the beginning with that design in mind, right? D&D specifically has this problem where 99% of all encounters you have are going to be on a map of a certain size or smaller. It's very rare you're going to be on a map that has over 300 feet of range to begin. So it creates a scenario where you're giving players the ability to snipe from 300 feet away with a spell, and most maps don't exist in that space. The bad guys don't exist in that space. So the player just basically has to bleep off the map, and you have to arbitrarily imagine where they are somewhere, and fighting the normal party in the regular map. And so the system kind of lends itself to that problem on its own as well.
Yeah. Well, did you see one of the things they're adding, not to harp too much on this, but one of the things they're adding to, and I think they put it in one of the new books, is circle magic, where you have multiple people casting the same spell, and it can do a few things. It can increase range, or it can increase damage, or it can increase duration. It's like, you imagine a group of people getting together to upcast a magic missile spell. You're like, those stars? Where are they coming from? That mountaintop? They're getting closer. It's just like
dead
80 magic missiles. Oh, everybody runs, and you're like, you can't avoid them. They're just like, oh, that would be horrifying, but fun, but horrifying at the same time.
It's an interesting mechanic. I don't know how it feels functionally, but it's an interesting idea. It would require you to probably have 2 or 3 casters in your party, which if you're in a party of 5, that's a lot of casters. So you're gonna be a little squishy, but
well, not if you've dipped into. Oh, there.
Yeah. Chrysanthemum's gonna play Pony Island. That's news to me. If she wants to play Pony Island, she's welcome to. You think I should make a one shot based on my most hated people in chat? Listen, that'd be the whole chat. I'd have to make like an arena called the Chat Bastards Arena and put every last one of you in there. Okay, that's how that would have to go.
This is a great idea. This talking about multiclassing just made me think of a little cartoon that it wouldn't really fit in the book anywhere. But there's just a thieves' den and thieves everywhere. Everybody's got the typical look like little thieves and stuff. And then somebody's standing in there saying, "What do you mean somebody in here is multi-classed?" And there's like a priest sitting at a table like, And he's just obviously, got the holy symbol on, and everybody else is like dressed like a thief, and he's like, they can tell.
They can tell. Oh, here's one. Dragon Noodle Soup says, so there are patrons that only talk to one or other based on sex. That makes me think of some of the gods in D&D that favor witches and things. Yeah, so it's not even, it's a, so the reason we have them divided narratively is that warlocks, they have their, oh man, I just blanked on what they're called. The witches have covens. I'm blanking on what the hell it is for warlocks right now. But they have these like secret societies, and they're exclusive, and they don't let their secrets go to anybody else. Right? So there are certain patrons out there that have only been discovered or accessed or appealed to through their rituals and secret rites and things like that to some patrons that the witches don't have access to. A good example of this in reverse, witches having exclusive, would be there's sort of a nature spirit patron. And that patron, witches specifically deal in the spirits of nature and in shadows and things like that. So that's why that specific patron really only answers to them. The warlocks don't really mess with that stuff. They're not about the nature spirits. They're probably more focused on some demonic entities that they focus on that maybe the witches wouldn't necessarily deal with. So that's kind of what we're going for in terms of what that patron thing is. It's not so much that the patron itself cares whether you're male or female. It's what have those societies been pursuing in their secret little covens.
Yeah, and I fully expect that there could be a patron that has both witches and warlocks that it deals with. It's just not like in the same group. It's just like, well, you're a witch who follows blah, or you're a warlock who follows blah. It wouldn't matter from the patron side of thing, but it would matter from your side of thing as long as they.
Yeah, so those are the neutral ones. Yeah, so there's going to be a list of basically patrons that either side can work with. They don't give a shit. I'm making a deal with you. I have some agendas of my own. I'll give you some power, but you're also going to do some things for me along the way. And there are some that specifically were discovered in some way through the practices of being a witch or being a warlock, and they keep those secrets guarded. So that's the idea there. Jensen says, how many warlocks were there in Frostmaiden? Too many, Jensen. That's how many. Way too many. I would join the arena. Speaking of, I know this isn't a Moonskull stream, but on Moonskull, we are going to have some member-only activities coming up, streams that you can participate in. So there'll be some arenas, there'll be some Royal Rumbles, some games, like video games and stuff that we're going to be able to hop into. So keep your eyes peeled for those. What have you done recently? Fantastic, sarcastic. It doesn't matter. You're in chat. You're a chat bastard. Enclave. Yes, thank you. The god of nothing in particular. Actually, that's a really fun god concept. I kind of want a god of nothing in particular. I don't know what the hell he would do. Probably nothing in particular. But and
nobody really noticed when he was just not doing. He didn't even take part in the war.
He's only prominent when you're not looking. I love it. I love it. But yeah, so I think I caught up all the questions. I did find one from you, Froste. You asked if the mana stream has a color.
Oh, that's right.
You want to elaborate?
Basically, I was wondering when something gets infused or touched or somebody breaches the mana stream, like if somebody did something way in the past and they did something crazy in a set of ruins and they tapped directly into the mana stream with this crazy crystalline machine that's now defunct, but it's still leaking power and stuff. Would that have kind of a telltale look to it? Like green witch light or purple something or this hideous red something. Just curious if that's something that could be fit into the lore or the world.
So the mana stream itself, I didn't really intend to have a color per se, or even a visual like substance to it. is just more of an energy. But I could see where perhaps using certain foci or doing certain particular schools of magic or sparking up intense amounts of energies for a certain purpose might take on a certain cue or not cue cue. I can see something like that.
So if it's like blood magic combined with mana stream stuff, it's going to be pretty dark and heinous looking, as opposed to
necrotic is going to be some awful rancid looking green color. Something a little bit more about divination might be sort of like purplish light blue kind of hue. That kind of stuff would be certainly doable. But yeah, I don't think in terms of its actual form that the mana stream has a particular color.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would definitely say that it might even be an interesting. I have to think about that, because the other problem with giving even certain schools or types of magic a color is that means you can tell just by looking at it. It kind of nullifies the need for certain spells. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Sense. Interesting.
It is definitely a thought. Let's. I want to know if Frost special maps might be added to the books as artwork, or if these are just to help him through the lore. Well, there's a few layers to that question. The first is he's using a licensed software, right?
It depends on which one. This one is something that I bought at licensed. It's a program. We'd have to look into the rights of using it and stuff, but I think this one needs to be arted up by an actual artist. And I'm using it to plan everything out just so I know. The other one that I was using, that Canvas of Kings, it's literally, and the guy who wrote it he's working on his own game. He wrote the program, you buy it. He said, use it for wherever the hell you want. If you want to sell these maps, sell the damn things. He's like, I don't care. He's like, just use the program. You can do anything you want with these ever. He's like, it doesn't matter.
Maybe.
I'm never going to come at you. But it really depends on if it's an art style that works out or if it's an idea of like, hey, these are great for the planning, the preliminary, and then we get somebody to draw over it and do it in a new uniform art style or something. I mean, they're a uniform art style right now, but
yeah. I'm typically inclined to, we're going to probably use actual fantasy game cartographers who make these maps and know the elements and things that people are looking for and, we'll need to reference for the game, that kind of thing. And just has a nice hand-drawn feel and feels like you're getting what you paid for too. But I don't know if it ends up being something that it looks good enough and people are happy with it. And it's something that allows us to advance the timetable on the other art. Who knows? It's something certainly to consider. At the end of the day, it is it is a software program, which means it is more limited. So the moment you want to do something custom or unique on the map, you're kind of pigeonholed a little bit. But
completely, yeah. That's why they're really good for just planning.
And the other thing that could be interesting too, depending on how much we gather, if there's a lot of like concept art or mock-ups or things like that can be put in like a little the making of Legend Seeker scrapbook type thing, it could be in something like that. So
those would be fun to hold on to, definitely. Like the first version of this map was this.
Who is the god of boobies, Erudi? That would be the goddess Chi-Chi Milkers. That would be the goddess of boobies, but unfortunately, she got sucked into a wormhole and deposited to a whole different universe where the material is a lot more absurd and 18 plus. Look for that supplement someday, like next decade. Frost. Frost wants to write that one, I can tell.
Yeah, totally. I'm all over that. Yeah, look at me. I already got source material.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you, Frost.
It's like,
not only is it going to be 18 plus, but it's going to have a lot of furry supplements in there too. So I know you'll be very, very happy writing that.
be out of the country that decade.
Oh God. No, there is no. The closest thing you're going to get to a god of the boobies is probably Davila.
Yeah, makes sense.
She's into hedonism and self pleasure and all that stuff. She very much is into that. I mean, I guess my brain is starting to go to sludge. Who's our goddess of beauty? Ariel.
Oh, Ariel, yeah.
Ariel, she is the goddess of beauty, so she definitely certainly has got a bit of vanity. So, you know what, Darth Dave, you would probably be the exact right choice for that universe. I'll let you know when it goes into production.
Oh God. I mean, what? That's great. Yay.
Oh God. Did I get tagged in something? Let me see what. Oh, that's something else. That is also something else. Oh, okay, neither one of those are what I was looking for. Trying to think if there was anything else. We covered the multi-classing, which I'm pretty excited about. I am in talks with some various people that, if stuff pans out, I think we'll have some more cool things to announce. This is outside of the publishing deal that I'm trying to work out. But there are some interesting people who might be interested in what we're doing, and I'm hoping that that might lead somewhere. But you'll know when we know.
Yeah, Dave, that one of the places in Kadesh, which is up in the, if you look at the map up here, Lost Acadia, up in this area, there's lots of ruined cities. There was a lovely city devoted all to sin and all kinds of horrible hedonism that was where Davila kind of held court. And there is the Garden of Sins, which was there, and the Lake of 1,000 Blooms, which is where you went for all that stuff. So yeah, if you want to write something back in there, that's going to be where all that horrible stuff took place.
Wonderful. The more I think about it, the more I want to make this god of nothing in particular. The god of, you're pretty sure you saw something out of the corner of your eye, but every time you look directly at it, there's nothing there. That's fun. I don't know what the hell I would do with something like that, but you do have a very interesting
36.
Yes, that page will never exist. Yeah, the legendary characters in general are turning out pretty good. Dragon Noodles. We've got some interesting ideas for a lot of them. Some of them even intermingle a little bit without giving any concrete spoilers, because you don't know any of the information anyways. Darth Dave's and Dragon Noodle's character even have a bit of a linkage at some point, which should be pretty exciting. Yeah, so if you like what we're talking about, you like what you're hearing, and you're saying to yourself, hey, I'm pretty excited about this, and I'd like to help bring this project into fruition, you can do that by going to our Patreon and supporting there. There are several affordable tiers all the way up to almost more of what I would call an investor tier. We are really going gung-ho to help bring this thing out and becoming a major part of its production. Every tier has its own benefits. The most obvious of which is playtesting. Going from the highest tier to the lowest is how we're going to roll that out and expose it to people. And if you're at that highest tier, you actually get to create lore for inside the universe. You get to make your own characters. That'll be a part of the lore, working with me, of course. I'll still have final say over what's going on, but I will work with you to create something that makes sense with what we're doing, but kind of matches what you're envisioning. And then later on, you'll get an exclusive Grix mini, which is going to be painted by the same guy who does Joe Manganiello's miniatures, if you know who that is. He's got some badass looking minis if you've ever seen them and you're like, damn, those are awesome. The guy who's painting that is the one who's going to be painting the Mythic Grix minis. So definitely worth it to get those. And then there'll be some unpainted versions of your own character, the one that you made. So there we go. So yeah, there's a lot going on there, and then we'll, as people stay on that longer, if they continue supporting for a longer period, we'll add more and more stuff. Gold tier will also have some pretty cool options as well. You will also have access to a Grix mini. It'll be unpainted, as well as some other benefits, and then again, play testing as well as some other opportunities. And when you're an active member, we'll have votes too. There'll be some votes about some things. We had a vote for the whole setting of the entire universe. The reason it's called Erudia is because you guys voted for it. I didn't just name it arbitrarily. We had a list of I want to say 9 or 10 names. We did 3 rounds of voting. You guys voted it all the way down until it got to Erudia. There was some artwork for a creature that's called a moon skull. And I was going back and forth on which version of the artwork I liked better. You guys voted for what the final version is going to be. And so there'll be other opportunities like that where you will get to make a key decision in how we're going to do something. And you get to participate in that by being an active member of Patreon. There are tiers as low as $5. So every amount helps. Please do consider support. Anything else on your mind, Frost?
No, right now, I think all my main questions have been answered. So I'm good. All the other stuff will be behind the scenes. Like, I'll ask you questions because I have to remind myself of how we're doing a few things, like which things are going in which book and that kind of stuff.
Darcy says, why would you want to fight me? It's a good question when you think about your character.
Why wouldn't we want to fight you, Dave? Wait, you or your character?
The god of stuck drawers. I don't want to go overboard with it. Man, I feel like there was something else I wanted to share, but brain is not remembering. I should start doing what Kaio does and just line my monitor with sticky notes of all the things I'm supposed to remember. Maybe that's something I should.
If the sticky notes fall off,
then I'll be really screwed. Because if I actually empty my ideas onto the paper, then I don't think I have to remember them anymore. Then they're gone for good. So that would be bad. That'd be real bad. We did talk last time about ages and what those are going to be like. So basically every 2 years of product that we put out for Legend Seeker will be considered an age, and that age will have a name. So it might be, for example, the Age of Discovery, making something up. And during that age, all the products that come out would be within the timeline of the Age of Discovery and would be related to some grander overarching theme. The supplements that come out would be in areas that have significant moments within the Age of Discovery, and so on and so forth. And that does 2 things. It gives some product identity. So when you're talking to people, you can be like, oh, that one module, I think that was from the Age of Discovery, or the Age of Conquest, or whatever it might be. And that'll give a reference point, but also it gives you a timeline point too, because we want to have an evolving timeline of events and things that happen. So let's just say, for example, I'm going to take some history from our actual lore. At some point, the goddess Senna died. If there had been products made during when that story was being created, and in that time period, Senna as a goddess had died, if you played any products before that time period, Senna's still alive. If you play any products after that time period, Senna's dead. Right? So that's kind of the idea, is these ages will kind of set these places for you to tell your story and know what the world state is that age or whatever.
The same could hold true for, when before Nya was a god.
Yeah, all of those things, right? All those things could have of places within ages. So yeah, when we do those, there will be significant story beats and things that happen that permanently change the landscape or cause some sort of change. And the supplements and books will cover all that stuff. And then you'll know, going on to the next stage, those things that have changed. And we'll try to stick it to things that are like definitively canon, right? So not something that hinges on a character's choice. That way we don't have to decide a correct endpoint. You know what I'm saying? But like, if take for example, going into D&D a little bit, the Descent into Avernus campaign, something that definitely happens in that story. It's the crux of the whole story is that, not Baldur's Gate. Elturond. That city gets pulled into hell. And so that whole story is you trying to basically get out of hell and free, or Elturel, and get it replaced back into the world. But there are some permanent changes in the world state because of that, and it's not dependent on the player's decision. That just happened. That is the crux of that story. So those are the things that will be impacted, and the things that are kind of more open-ended, like how did the player solve this? Did such and such villain get away or whatever? We would try to stay away from canonizing things like that to the best of it. I think that's pretty much it. We're probably going to wrap here. So my goal is, aside from the playtesting, at the next point I'm ready to start a new campaign for Moonskull. I'm hoping that campaign will be set in Legends. So even if it's a kind of active showing of the system as a televised playtest, essentially, where we're all playing the system and it might not be the final system yet or whatever. But that eventually is something I want to do. Is I want to get a bunch of players where we can actually discover these things live as we're making the game and stuff. So, your eyes open for that, ears open for that, your nose is open for that. Whatever bodily orifices you use to sense the world, have them all open, every last one of them, to learn all that information. Look at Frost shaking his head at me.
This is why my voice cuts out all the time. I just can't believe it.
Can't believe it. Did you pick your tagline that Chrysanth uses for you? Or does she pick that?
I did. I don't think I did. Or
she
did it.
She said, "Sub to Frost, you losers." That's the tagline she uses for you. Wow.
I don't think I came up with that. If I did, it was totally just was having a bad day. You can't blame me for it. Yep, that's it.
Wow.
If it was Chrysanth, it's,
I mean, she's pretty mean. It sounds like something she would probably say.
Mean hindrance. Got it.
I do like that she, in her tag for you, it's a wizard emoji and a male symbol. Like she needs to clarify that you're male. That's interesting for sure. How do you feel about that?
I mean, from my standpoint, it's literally just a little wizard emoji. So you may be seeing it differently because I see it. All I see is the one.
You don't see the male symbol?
Mm-mm.
Hold on. Let me show you what it looks like to me. I'm going to send it to you in a DM. Yep.
This will be interesting. Maybe you're just, maybe you see things like that. Is that on your computer? You're seeing that?
It's in Restream. Where are you, Frost? I know you're in here somewhere.
I'm right here. Here, I'm sending you a picture right now, so it'll pop up.
Oh no, you moved. Drive's going to click you. Oh, weird. That is really weird. All right, so this is how it looks to me.
Oh yeah, wow, because it's using the magic person plus male, and
yeah.
this is Oh, that is funny.
So I thought she was going out of her way to say that you were a male, like it wasn't obvious. That's funny. I'll show you.
Strange.
Are there Dampiers in Legend Seeker? Don't know that we've actually decided that yet. In part because vampires are a little bit different in our setting in terms of why they exist and whatnot. I don't know if that would be. I don't know how that would work.
I've never really quite. I mean, I've understood why they made Dampier so people could play a vampire, but not really a vampire, but a vampire, but not really a vampire.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always been of the mind that even though you're undead in there, your actual bodily functions are dead. I never really understood how you would make a half human offspring, but that might just be some lore that I'm not familiar with. Something to consider, though. I don't have any intentions as far as playable races goes, at least certainly for the beginning. We don't really plan to have anything monstrous. It'll be classic, traditionally aligned to good humanoid characters, humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, with a couple of unique races to the setting. So half orcs. So then you also got the soul forged and the mums, and they're not monsters.
Yeah, I know they're folklore dragon noodle soup, but they have absolutely nothing to do. I mean, it's like you can put anything to fork. Say it's folklore. It should be in the game. I mean, not everything in folklore is in the game. I'm just saying, vampire, not vampire. It's a way for people to say, look, I found something in a legend that allows me to play sort of this cool monster that I want to play. I'm sure there's a slime girl somewhere in mythology.
Oh, God. No slime girls in Legend Seeker.
Hey, minotaurs are totally in mythology.
Oh, so the pregnant woman's bitten while pregnant. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
And they do those, yeah.
I'd have to think about that, yeah. Certainly, I don't know if Dampiers, if they existed, would be playable, because I don't intend all the races to be playable. Keeper can do whatever they want. They can take a race and kind of guess at what its core stats are and make it playable for somebody. But generally speaking, things like that probably are not playable. Half orc and half elf are probably the only half races that I intend to be playable. Certainly at the beginning. I had to think about that every time.
Yeah, I read a folklore story when I was a kid about a little mouse who walked and walked and walked until his feet, he had to go so far, his feet got worn out. So he stopped at the foot cellar and he bought more feet to put them on so he could keep walking. So I want my foot cellar.
Mouseskins officially are now in Legend Seeker. Yeah, no, I'm also not a big fan of furry races, generally speaking. Particularly as playable characters. So I'd have to, a lot of them I have to think on. We're going to stick with the core races that we have. There's no plans to expand on those right now. So what races are there and have been listed as playable are what will be there in the core book. In terms of future supplements, that would be something we have to examine. I don't know. My viewpoint a lot of times on the fantasy stuff is I love adding more monsters. I love adding more classes. I love adding more spells. I'm not as big of a fan of adding more races constantly because I feel like you always have to up the ante and add more and more fantastical options. There's some point where I think the experience of playing in a role-playing game is being a somewhat relatable character and facing the fantastical and experiencing the fantastical. If you already are the fantastical, I don't know. I feel like it robs that a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see. For example, I don't have Dragonborn or half dragons as playable characters either. Whether they'll exist is a whole But all right.
Nope, pretty sure they all died. It was horrifying. Oh, well.
I also don't intend to make them waifu style either, just FYI. So if there are things like that, if there are half dragons, they're probably not going to be big, scaly, big breasted waifu dragon mamas. Okay, so don't get too excited. All of our attractive, hot women are going to be the humans and elves. All right, so there'll definitely be some eye candy for you in our setting. We're not afraid to let you enjoy your fantasy escapism. Just no fox mommies, probably ever.
Ever. Maybe ever. Very nice.
But that wraps us. Frost, where can they find you? What will you be up to?
They can find me on Moonskull and here on the Legend Seeker channel, and also on my links in my link tree there, where you can find me on all my little channels and hear that.
Dear God,
they knocked over the every time they do that, that is them knocking over the cat wheel. It's like a 4-foot exercise cat wheel, and when they knock it over, they're all like, ah, they run around because it falls, and sometimes it goes clunk, 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 clunk. So I get to go fix that. But anyway, when I'm not dealing with that kind of stuff, you can find me on my my channels, and yeah, mostly dealing with stuff like that.
awesome. I am just floored by how much noise I just made.
Hardwood floors with no soundproofing in the basement here between me and.
My cat doesn't make any noise. She just attacks my leg when I least expect it. I want Poppy to make an appearance, but she has not come down. Maybe I'll try to get her.
The noise.
I make the noise after she attacks me. Yes, that's typically how that goes. But I'm Erudi. You can find me here every other week. And you can find me over on Moonskull every single week, multiple times, running several shows. We got a bunch of really cool stuff coming up, including a one-shot that features the Nugget, Crescent. You met a goal for us a while back to have her play this. Bugborg. It is an RPG about being a bug. So we're going to make her a bug and make her life super scary because life's tough out there for a bug. And we might have a few friends along the way as well. So keep an eye out for that one shot. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then there is some top secret stuff that will also be getting some fun little announcements coming up here soon. And I think you guys are going to be very, very excited for. So stay tuned. And Crimson Throne starts not this weekend, but the weekend after. So that'll be firing up. And then the week after that, Moss returns with Masks of whatever that name is. He'll be returning for that. So I know you guys are excited. You guys have missed your Call of Cthulhu fix. And it's coming back. It's coming back. Yes, Tomix, it's going to bug her. She really enjoys the buzz this one shot is creating. I better squish talking about that before she gets mad at me. Well, on that note, I think we should leave. I think I should, before I die, maybe end the stream. Yeah? Yeah.
Make like a bug and get out of here.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I better, fly out of here. You know what I'm saying? Oh, God. Here we go. Bye, guys.